I never really thought much about Labubus. My friend Kayla got me one as a gift. It was green and blue and honestly kinda cute in a weird way. I didn't want to seem rude, so I strapped it to my purse and figured I'd wear it around for fun. But little did I know, that's where the horror would begin. It was a normal morning. I was on the bus heading to work. I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and the bus ride is usually the most boring part of the day. I had headphones in, staring out the window, just waiting to get there. But that's when I noticed a man sitting behind me. He was mumbling. At first, I thought he was talking to someone, but no, he was talking to himself. His voice was low and raspy. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but I heard him say the word Labubu. I froze. I didn't want to turn around. I kept telling myself to ignore it. People talk to themselves all the time, right? That's when out of nowhere, I felt a hand grab my shoulder.
Give it back.
The man yelled. I jumped out of my seat, heart racing.
That's my Labubu. You stole it.
I didn't say a word. I just picked up my bag and moved to the front of the bus, closer to the bus driver. I looked back once, and he was just sitting there, staring at me, muttering. I got off at a stop early and walked the rest of the way. Work was normal after that. I tried to laugh it off with my coworkers, telling them about this crazy bus guy, but something still didn't sit right. I should have taken the Labubu off my purse, but I didn't. Don't know why. It was near the end of my shift, just as we were cleaning up, when the door of the store slammed open. It was him, the same man from the same bus. His hair was long and curly. His eyes were even more wild than before. He pointed straight at me and screamed,
You have my Labubu. You took her from me.
Everyone in the store froze. My manager yelled, Sir, I'm calling the police. But the man didn't care. He kept screaming, yelling about how the Labubu belonged to him and how I was cursed for taking it. Then finally he ran out. My hands were shaking. I was terrified. He knew where I worked. My coworker George didn't want me to take the bus home after that, so he offered to drive me home. I was very thankful. I just wanted to get inside, lock the door, and forget about any of this. That night, around 11 p.m., I was winding down. I had brushed my teeth, washed my face, and was scrolling on my phone in bed. The glow from my phone was the only light in the room. Then I heard it. Slow and steady knocks on my window. I live on the ground floor. My breath got caught in my throat. I didn't move. I didn't want to look. I wanted to believe I imagined it. Then smash! A huge cement block came flying through my window. Glass exploded everywhere. I barely had time to duck. The block crashed into the floor, missing my head by inches. I screamed. I looked up, and there he was. The man from the bus and the store, climbing through my broken window.
Give her back.
He roared.
That Labubu is mine.
He was bleeding from his arms, probably from the glass. He didn't seem to feel it. His face was full of hate and obsession. His hand had a knife. I ran. I ran so fast down the hallway, crying out for my sister. Liz, help. She came out of her room confused and half asleep. I grabbed her arm and yanked her inside her room with me, slamming the door shut and locking it. I told her everything in a rush, about the man, the bus, the store, the Labubu, and she immediately grabbed her phone and called the cops. We huddled in the corner of the room listening. Heavy footsteps, shattered glass crunching, and then the front door crashed open. Police, drop the knife! We heard yelling, screaming, a struggle, then silence. A few minutes later, one of the officers knocked gently on Liz's bedroom door and told us it was safe to come out. The man had a kitchen knife with him, long, stained, and dried with blood. They said he was mentally unstable, probably off his medication, and obsessed with retrieving something he thought was his. He thought my Labubu doll was alive. They took him away in handcuffs, still yelling nonsense about curses and his little girl. The police asked us a lot of questions. We gave our statements, and they stayed with us for a while to make sure we felt safe. When they finally left, Liz and I sat in silence on the couch, holding each other, trying to understand what has just happened. I don't know what that man saw in it, or what it meant to him. I don't know if it was all just in his head, or if something darker was going on. But one thing is for sure, that Labubu brought something with it, something obsessed, something dangerous. I've been obsessed with Labubus for a while now. Something about their weird, creepy, cute faces just draws me in. They've become a full on addiction. My shelves at home are lined with all kinds rare ones, common ones, but there is one I still haven't gotten yet, the ID variant. I'd only seen it online a few times, and every time the price was way out of my budget. One evening, I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, and that's when I saw it. The ID Labubu, only $140. My heart dropped. I clicked the listing so fast I didn't even hesitate. The seller was a young college girl named Anna. Her profile looked legit. Hundreds of posts going back years. Real photos, tagged friends, even stories from her campus. It didn't look fake at all. I messaged her right away. She responded within minutes. I asked if she'd take 115 and surprisingly she agreed. She even sent me an address saying I could come pick it up that night if I wanted. It was already 9:55 p.m. and I hesitated mostly because it was already dark. But I wanted that Labubu bad. So I got in the car and headed to the address. It wasn't too far, but I started to notice the houses becoming more and more run down the closer I got. By the time I reached the street, it was obvious this wasn't the best part of town. The house itself was small and completely dark. No porch light, no inside lights. Still, I parked out front and texted her, "Hey, I'm here." I waited 10 minutes. Still nothing. I was about to back out of the driveway when suddenly the porch light flickered on. Something about that light made my stomach twist. It wasn't just the timing, it was the way it flickered on. Slow and uneven, like an old horror movie. Still, I wanted the Labubu. I told myself not to be a coward and opened the car door. I stepped out and started walking towards the house, nerves crawling up my spine like a cold insect. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Anna, but what I read nearly made me drop the phone. "Hey, somebody stole my phone a few days ago. I'm not selling anything on the marketplace. That's not me." My blood turned to ice. I looked up towards the porch. My mind screamed run, but it was already too late. From the side of the house, a man charged at me full speed. He wasn't just running, he was raging. I barely had time to react before he slammed into me, knocking me to my feet. I hit the ground hard, my back scraping against the pavement. He was screaming something, words I couldn't understand, spit flying from his mouth. He was filthy. Hair wild, eyes glassy and unfocused. He reeked of sweat and piss, something sour, maybe blood. He kept swinging his arms trying to pin me, but I'm a big guy too, and adrenaline kicked in. I fought back, rolling over and pushing him. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might explode. Then sirens, blue and red lights cut through the darkness. A cop car slowed to a stop right in front of the house. Two officers jumped out. One pulled a taser and pointed it directly at us. Hands up now." The man screamed again and rolled away, trying to crawl back towards the house. The cops tased him in seconds and cuffed him while he was cursing and growling like a wild animal. I was shaking, breathing hard. One officer helped me to my feet, eyes scanning my face. "You all right? What the hell happened here?" I showed him the Facebook messages, explained everything. He believed me. The other guy was clearly out of his mind. High, drunk, maybe both. The officer told me he was a homeless man who had recently been released from jail. He'd been squatting in that empty house for weeks. I almost walked right into his trap. They took us both to the station and asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no. He was already homeless and had nothing to lose, so there's no point in fighting him in court. After this situation, I now stay away from private home meetups. I only meet in busy public places, and as much as I still collect Labubus, I'll never go chasing one like that again. No toy is worth dying for. But sometimes when I'm home alone, late at night, I still wonder, what if I'd gotten to that door before that message came through? Would I have been another missing person story? Another Facebook Marketplace horror tale? I still have the listing screenshotted and saved. I never deleted it, but every time I look at it, I wonder how my life could have changed because of that one dumb decision. I'm in my late 30s, and I'll be honest, I don't really keep up with trends anymore. I don't have a TikTok and I don't care what's going viral. But lately, I kept hearing one strange word over and over again, Labubu. My daughter Sophie, she's only 7, became obsessed with them. She showed me videos constantly, these weird little dolls with big smiles, long ears, and strange cartoon faces. She begged me for one every single day. Please, Mom, please. Everyone at school has one. I finally gave in. I wanted to surprise her. I thought it would be easy, so I went to the mall and tried to find one at almost every store. Nothing. Every single place was sold out. Employees just laughed and said, "Good luck. Those things disappear the second we stock them." I checked every store I could think of. Still nothing. I was just about to give up when I passed one of those little booths in the middle of the mall. Usually they sell fake jewelry or random junk, but this one was different. It didn't even have a sign, just a small black table with a few Labubu dolls. My heart jumped. The man running the stand, however, looked strange. He was very tan, eyes wide, and he kept glancing around like he was waiting for someone. He didn't say much, just nodded when I walked up. "These Labubus for sale?" I asked. He nodded again. "They're rare now," he said quietly. "People are going crazy for them." I checked the price tag and nearly dropped it. $180. I laughed out loud. "That's insane," I said. "I'm not paying for that." He looked around nervously, then leaned in closer. "I've got one more. It's an open box. Returned. I'll give it to you for 20. I should have walked away. I should have known something wasn't right. But I was just so happy I've finally found one for Sophie. So $20? I couldn't say no. I handed him the cash and took the doll. When I gave it to Sophie that night, she screamed with joy. She named it Pinky. She carried it everywhere, hugged it tight, brushed its little hair, and set it carefully on her nightstand every single night. It was cute. For a while. A few days later, Sophie was at school and I was cleaning up her room. I was folding laundry and picking up toys when something strange happened. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a little red flash. Quick, like a dot of light blinking once. I turned, but nothing was there. I thought maybe it was just the sunlight hitting something. I kept cleaning, but a few minutes later, I saw it again. This time, I was sure it came from her nightstand. I walked over slowly and looked around. Nothing. I stared at the Labubu just sitting there. That wide grin, those glossy eyes. Then the flash. The red light again from the doll. My heart dropped. I leaned in close, very close. That's when I saw it. The left eye, deep inside, was a small circle, a lens, a camera lens. My skin turned cold. I grabbed the doll and ran to the kitchen, digging through the drawers until I found my old pocket knife. I didn't hesitate. I slid it open right down the middle, and there it was, sewn into the head, was a real working miniature camera. It had to been recording. I dropped it and just stood there shaking. Someone had been watching my daughter while she played, while she slept. I was horrified, but I was also furious. I didn't even know what a real Labubu was supposed to look like. I just thought I got lucky, but someone had sold me a spy doll. I got in my car and drove straight back to the mall. I was ready to lose my mind, but when I got there, the booth was gone. The table, the cloth, the man, just gone, like it was never there. Just an empty space. I ran to a nearby store and asked if anyone has seen the guy. The employees just shrugged. One woman said, "What booth?" like it never existed. I then drove to the police station. I showed them the doll, the camera, everything. They took a report and said they'd investigate. They told me they'd call me when they had more information. That was weeks ago, and I still haven't heard anything back. I'm starting to lose hope that they will ever catch this guy. Now my next problem was Sophie. She cried when I told her Pinky disappeared. I didn't tell her the truth. I just said that it got lost. I still don't know what to do. I still don't know who is watching us or why. And worst of all, I can't stop thinking about that man's face. How nervous he was, like he knew something that I didn't.